Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you so much for being with me today. Let me just do a little bit of intro. The first track I played before we came on was by a great saxophonist. His name is Justin Ige. This is an EP that he apparently recorded some years ago, which is now released. The track is called Snakebite. And then the first track I played with my guest is called Portal into a New World. And I played this because this album is the track on the new album that links to the other two studio albums. So let me say again, Thandi Ntuli, truly, 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 I am so pleased. Welcome to Jazz and Conversations tonight.
Thank you. It's such a pleasure to be on your show. I mean, I know for the past few years you have shown so much love and support for not just South African jazz, but jazz on the continent. So I really do appreciate being on your show.
And thank you for finding me. Because I tell you, until I got that, until you sent me that, I just wondered whether I was getting through, to anybody. But thank God you were. Okay, for the people who don't know who Thandi Ntuli is, who is Thandi Ntuli?
Well, in terms of the music, I'm a pianist, I'm a vocalist. I also compose, and I might say that is probably my first love is writing. I come from a very musical family, so I come from quite a big family. Although my siblings are not musicians, everyone has got some type of musical gift. And
that's interesting.
Yeah, and then my parents, particularly on my father's side, also a very musical family. I had an uncle who was a rock star in a sense, part of a band called Harare in the 70s. I have, there was an uncle who was also a reviewer, and he used to write reviews for music. And, there's just a lot of love for art in my family. My grandfather was also a composer, and he wrote beautiful choral music as well as very catchy songs because he was a school teacher. So he also wrote songs.
You have to keep the kids interested.
Keep the kids at school. Yeah, exactly. And very humorous songs as well because he had quite a sense of humor. So yeah, that in a nutshell, I guess, is me in terms of my music, my musical background. I've been playing the piano since I was 4 years old.
Ouch. That explains a lot.
Yeah, I know. I'm so glad I stuck to it so that it wasn't like one of those investments that they made and then didn't see where it went. But definitely I was so privileged to have a mother who really loved the piano, and she put in so much time and effort into taking me to piano lessons, competitions, I Stedford. So really, I've grown up a lot around music, both as a practitioner and also just as growing up in a family that really loves all kinds of music. So yeah, I guess that's a bit of a background about where I'm from.
When was the big break? When was that led to The Offering?
I guess the one that led to The Offering was university. I think in my journey there've been quite a few milestones, but when I was in university, I had just switched to jazz. And a very interesting story, actually. The gentleman who got me into jazz was a Nigerian pianist. I met him when I was in the UK, and I'd never seen or heard anyone improvise before, and I couldn't believe what he was playing.
Oh, wow.
He told me to study jazz. So that's a little interesting story about the reason I got
What was
jazz.
His name?
His name is Francis Ovi.
Ovi.
Ovi. Yes.
Okay. All right. I shall. Okay. Go on.
I don't think he's a professional musician. So he used to play. There was a gospel choir that I just used to be a part of for fun. So he used to be the pianist for that choir, and I just used to marvel at how beautiful he played. only to find out he was improvising. But anyway, university was when I really started digging into jazz, and this music was fascinating for me. It was very challenging because I had come from, playing music from a piece of music, and now I had to learn how to improvise. But what I did learn a lot from improvising, from a lot of listening to music, was how to start writing my own songs and putting together ideas. So the offering, I guess, came from that period.
Okay.
It came from that period, yeah. It came from the period of digging deep into this new world of music.
Wow.
And really like putting out my own expression from that.
Okay, well, I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to play what is my favorite track from the offering. Which one do you think it is? It might be.
Well, I don't know.
In Between Spaces.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes. That's my favorite track on it. In Between Spaces.
So song for a long time.
Oh, really? Are you serious? You haven't listened to it for ages?
Yeah, I generally don't listen to my albums once I'm done with them.
Oh, do you know who used to do that? You know late Fela Kuti?
Yes.
Once he released a song on an album, he never played it again.
Wow.
He
never played it again.
I think he would never play. I think he would never play it at the shrine again.
Okay.
Once he's released it, he would never, something like that. It was something strange like that. He would never play a song in some situation after release. So let's get
this is good company.
Okay, this is In Between Spaces.
I think one of my favorites would be Mthandazo. Lonely Hearts, definitely.
Yes, I think Lonely Hearts one of yours.
Because
you play that quite, I've seen quite a few clips of that, so I'm guessing.
Yeah, and I don't play it as much, but Contemplation. I think at the time I was also still listening to a lot of trio music.
Okay.
Jazz piano trios. So, yeah, I really enjoyed those compositions, and I enjoyed playing them. It's funny, In Between Spaces almost didn't make it on the album.
Why?
And I don't know. I wasn't very, but this happens to me. Like now on my third album, I'm used to it. That the song that like I struggle with usually is the one that people love.
Which one was that on this one? On the new one?
On the new album, I think it was Secret Keeper, which I almost didn't put onto the album.
Okay.
But again, people love it, and same with this one, In Between Spaces, people loved it. So I've gotten to that place where I realize that not my taste and the taste of the people who actually listen to the music is not always the same. But yeah, I'm actually like blown away listening to this song, because I'm just remembering or just realizing how much we've grown as an outfit. I mean, we're not the same outfit entirely, but most of the people on this offering album are still
with you. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Nice. Nice. Okay. All right. So we have the offering, and I think you contacted me after you released Exiled.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm correct?
Yes, I think so. I actually didn't remember that I had contacted you.
How did you find me? That's my question. How did you find me?
To be honest with you, I have always had an issue with the disconnect that we have amongst the different African countries.
Oh my dear, God bless you for that. It's a huge problem.
It is a huge problem, and I've always felt that it's so strange to me that I don't know what is happening in the world of music in, for example, Namibia, which is next door.
Yeah.
And where do we find that information? So I think at the time of Exiled, I was really like just digging and trying to find radio stations, artists on the continent that I could start really like conscientizing myself around music
Oh, wow.
on the continent. So yeah, I think it came from that period. It's still something that I'd love to see more of. I would love to see more touring within the continent. It's very tricky, but I think it would be so enriching for each of our musical spheres, you know. And one of the things that makes Johannesburg so special is that it's a city in Africa that has that potential, because there are so many different nationalities living in Johannesburg. But still, I'd love to do that more within the continent. So yeah, it came from that period.
Should I tell you something? You have just described the reasons why I do this show.
Oh, amazing.
That's exactly the reason. When I started the show, it was just, I mean, I grew up with the likes of Bob James and, you know, the usual group of musicians that you grow up. But in this case, these are good musicians that really could play. Yeah. And a chance, so I started the show 2016, and I was playing most of that sort of music, you know. And then as time got on, I had been involved in sort of the jazz scene in Lagos in the 80s, in the mid 80s going on when I came back from the UK. Confession, I'm a bassist. I've played bass for 40 years. Okay. I am an enthusiastic amateur. I also consider myself a composer, so I've done some of that as well. And I've had band, you know, the band in school, and then a few years ago we got back together again and we started writing again. So that all of that, I said, finally, okay, I'm going to do a radio show. You know, finally I'll get to exercise this love that I have within me, because I'm an engineer, and you know, you do all of that, you know, to make a living, put your kids through school. You know? Anyway, so I started the show. Then about 6 months later, I had a chance invitation to an album launch, and it was by a Nigerian jazz artist. And I sat down and I looked at these guys and I said, what am I listening to? I closed my eyes and I thought I was listening to Chick Corea's Electric Band.
Amazing.
Swear to God. And from that point on, I started sort of digging up what was going on in Nigeria. And then by the time, that was the end of 2017, I started to look for what's happening in Africa. And you're so right. Musicians in Southern Africa don't know what the guys are doing in North Africa, don't know what the guys are doing in West Africa, don't know what the guys are doing in East Africa. Now, in the process of doing this, you know, I looked down your artists on the new album, and I came across Hope Masike a couple of years ago with her. I don't know I can't remember what they call it.
Sambira.
Yes, with her amazing voice. Amazing voice. There's I've come along Benjamin Jepta. I've gotten into his music. Obviously Shane Cooper, who I think is just incredible. Then there's Mozambique. There's Meroë Chongisa, who you probably know of. And Kenya, there's people like Shamsi Music. There's Victor Day Jr. in Ghana. There's musicians in Egypt. There is jazz all over this continent.
Absolutely.
And none of them know what's going on anywhere else.
Exactly.
You know, so I don't just play the music. I've connected with everyone like I have with you, and I'm hoping that this is going to maybe take it further. Because you're right, there needs to be more collaboration. There needs to be a tour on the continent, so that people can get. I mean, we've put enough money in the pockets of the American jazz musicians, and as far as I'm concerned, African jazz is the only area of jazz that is creating new sound, because in every country it's different, because the cultural influences in each country are different, and when you merge the two together, you just get a different sound. So you've just described why I do the show. Thank you very much.
Thank you. No, I agree totally. And I mean, we've been fortunate because in Cape Town, where I studied,
it's just a melting pot.
There was a huge Mozambican community of musicians. So a lot of the Mozambican musicians we got to know whilst living in Cape Town. But it's not common, you know. We don't have that cross pollination, and even with artists like Jimmy Juju, who is
yes,
Mozambican but also very much
South
like
African,
considered a South
South
African
Africa,
artist
yes,
in all ways. It's because of that like cross pollination. But what does it sound like when we are actually interacting with each other's cultures through that common exchange of jazz music? I think it's amazing what could happen. I mean, Meroë Makeba and Hugh Masekela did that throughout their careers. So yeah.
Okay. It's complicated.
It's complicated, sure.
That's what's coming up next.
No.
And this is off the album Exiled. It's complicated. I'm not sure if it's part 1 or 2. We'll find out when I play it. All right.
Okay. Yes. 3.
Akwaba by Carrie Bannerman. Akwaba means welcome in the, I think it's Ga. It means welcome. About Life by Rami Atala from Egypt. And Brian, the track's called Brian by Alpha Mist. Okay, I've got 3 more for you. First from Nigeria, a redo of the hymn "The Great Physician." Okay, and now on that has got 3 or 4 really amazing musicians. On sax is a guy called Segun Atoyebi. On piano is a guy called Ini Uko. On bass, a gentleman called Bright Gain, who is one of the best bassists in the world. I kid you not. And on trumpet, a gentleman called Victor Ademofe. And then there's a track from from Afro Red, which is from Zambia, called Double Standard. And then the last one, I changed it because you've heard of Aaron Rimbui. There's a group in Kenya called Shamsi Music. Okay. Have you heard of them?
No, I haven't.
Okay, very good. Okay, so we're going to do those 3.
I've enjoyed this a lot.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
honestly, there is so much happening on the continent and nobody gets to hear it. You know, it's really tragic. Okay, so here we go. First off, The Great Physician. This is Nigeria, Zambia, and Kenya. It's coming up. All right, we've got, Vincent. I got one of my buddies is finally logged in. Vincent, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
Okay,
Peter,
say hello to my guest. She is incredible. Have you listened from the beginning?
No, I just joined now.
Don't go anywhere. You're gonna hear some more from her. But I'm introducing her to Africa first.
Okay, brilliant. Hello, guest.
Hello, how are you, Vincent?
Very well, thank you, Thandi. Good
All right.
to yeah.
Okay, Vincent. Thanks. Nice to see you, man. It's been a while.
Same here.
All right.
Same here.
Here goes. Bit of where they come from.
Yes.
You know, some more than others. That last track by Shamsi Music from Kenya. I mean, you can't mistake where that's coming from. Yeah. You know. Anyway, what did you think?
The name of the Nigerian band. I tried to Shazam it while you were playing, but I couldn't.
Yeah, go on. I can hear you now. Yeah.
I'm saying the name of the Nigerian band.
Yes.
What's their name?
Okay, it actually isn't a band. It's actually a group of musicians who just came together. The principal musician, his name is his working name is Ini the Minstrel, but Ini Uko, Ini the Minstrel. If you find him on YouTube, but the bassist is a guy called Bright Gain. The chap on sax is called Segun Atoyebi. I'll send you all these names for later. And on trumpet is Victor Ademofe.
Okay.
Okay,
yeah,
all Nigerian. Okay. Piece. You really like. I thought you would like that.
Yeah, I really connected with that one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. No, it's one of my favorites. It's one of my favorites. The riff, the riff that they start with. It's. Anyway,
I enjoyed that. I enjoyed that one.
Okay, so I've given you a little bit of what I do here every Saturday. Okay. And I try to find more and more musicians because they're there, you know. And unfortunately, not all of them have recorded material, you know, because I'm only interested in original recorded material. I'm not interested in covers unless it's really reworked, you know, to give it some flavor. For instance, I've got a version of Take 5 by Moreira Chongisa and Manu Dibango before he passed, about a couple of years before he died. Have you ever heard that?
I actually haven't heard that one, no.
Vincent, have you heard that? I can't hear you, Vincent.
No.
Yeah, I can, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'd love to hear it. I haven't heard it. I've listened
Okay.
to various versions of Take 5, but this
Okay,
sounds like
this is an African version of Take 5. So
Oh,
I'll
wow. Are
add that
we
to
allowed to dance during this show?
Absolutely. You know, and but have you ever heard Thandi's music before, Vincent?
No.
Okay, all right. Listen, I've been playing her music for the last 3 years, 4 years. Yeah, the last 4 years I've been playing her music. She's amazing. What's going to come up next is a track off your new album, your current album, the one you said you thought everybody likes, but you didn't want to put on. So I'm going to play Secret Keeper next.
Okay, no problem.
Okay.
Okay, and then after that, I'm going to play. I'll add on this version of Take 5 by Moreira and Manu Dibango. Okay. Okay. All right. So here is Secret Keeper. It's off her Vincent. This is off her current album. She's got 4 albums, Thandi. The first one was from 2014 called The Offering. The second one's called Exiled, which was 2018. And then she's got a live album in between, the name of which I cannot say. By the way, where is that place? Jazz, what you say?
Live at Jazz Werkstatt. So it was in Bern. The name of the festival
Jazz
was
Vax, what?
Jazz Werkstatt. Yes.
That's what it's called. Okay. Is it?
I think if I'm not mistaken, it translates to Jazz Workstation.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
right. And that was an experimental adaptation of some of the tracks from Exiled. Am I correct?
That's correct. Yes.
Oh.
That was a festival in Bern and organized by musicians as well. So
Okay.
it was really a very interesting, bespoke festival,
Oh, nice.
but very, very, very cool. Yeah.
Okay. Here's Secret Keeper, and then after that we've got Take 5, and then we'll talk some more. All right. The album is called BLK. What is that supposed to be?
That's
Is that
black.
Black Elijah? What
Yeah.
you needed to spare the ink, or you just wanted to confuse people?
I'm just an artist. I'm an artist through and through.
Okay.
If I can write black in my own way, I will.
Okay, it's Black Elijah and the Children of Meroë. That's the title of the album, and this is called Secret Keeper. I didn't get it, so I said I will wait to hear from you. So go on, please. Explain.
So I suppose the first thing to keep in mind is that I wanted it to be almost like a story, like a novel.
Uh-huh.
So I think that's why the title, I was drawn to a title that would force people into an imaginary state of being.
Okay.
And also the I guess for me it felt like it was the album that I wanted to complete the story for Exiled, because when I worked on the music for Exiled, I was really faced and confronted with how our modern day society is still living out a lot of the social ills which are rooted in our violent history, whether it be colonialism or apartheid, and all the brutalities that we've experienced. And so my I guess in terms of the work, the stuff I'd been reading and just understanding like what the effects have been on our consciousness, on our well-being, I think what I felt would be a beautiful way of completing that story is creating a sort of imagined future. So the Children of Meroë in the sense is really about this fictitious place in the future. And you know, I've heard many people or read in different places that a very important element of liberation is the imagination. you can't really move towards a better future without having the vision of that future. So the Children of Meroë is really like that kind of projection of what I hope will be, something that is taken in and, thought of as what is a way for us to move forward. And for me, the primary thing is healing. So that's why I said it's a story about rebirth, reawakening, remembering, really coming back to ourselves, all the things or aspects of ourselves that have been lost in the centuries of suppression that we've experienced as a continent, really, and as a people. So really, that's what the Children of Meroë is about. And this character, Black Elijah, is sort of this, again, imagined character who comes and sort of brings, I guess, a sudden shift in one's perspective, in one's life through a disruption of sorts. So, I mean, that's the story behind it.
Okay.
And I guess the music in itself is just depicting different aspects of that journey,
Okay.
of reaching that place of
So
freedom.
in one phrase, your music is a living expression of you and the life you lead, everything.
Absolutely.
Which is why, I always said from the first time I listened, you have to listen to your album like 10 times to even begin to understand, what's going on. Right? I said to you, I haven't even listened to this album properly, but from listening to the other two, you have to listen to it again and again and again. And you hear, not that you hear something different each time, but it just somehow you connect the dots when you do that. So that's that. Okay. So yeah. Well done. Hey, that's so you truly are. This is art for you. This is not just putting down. This is art. This is your painting. That explains the cover as well.
Yeah, I guess so. And I think I'm painting. I think I'm also navigating this world through music. I think that's the best place for me to really understand the world, my experiences in it. Because as well, and I've said this in many conversations, is that sometimes the music actually is teaching me what is happening. Like with Exiled, I really struggled to articulate it initially, what it was really about. But as I kept digging and digging, I really understood what was at the root of the music. And so I think in a sense, I'm also a student of the music. I'm also learning from the things I'm writing. Somehow I'm able to express things in music that I'm not able to express in life. And in going back to the music, I'm able to understand things a little bit.
That's your
more.
instrument. That's your paintbrush.
Yeah.
That's your paintbrush. Absolutely. Well done. Well done. Listening to Secret Keeper, it reminds me that there's a track that I'm going to play. He's not African, but he's actually a gospel jazz musician.
Okay.
In the US. His name is Jared Lawson. Have you heard the name?
I have, yes.
Have you heard his music?
I haven't heard his music, but I have.
Okay, I'm going to play something from that a little bit later, but I also wanted to ask you, what else would you like me to play from Black Elijah? I've done two now. Oh, would you like me to play something from Exiled?
I think you could play from Black Elijah, and I think I would say maybe the track that I would recommend is Inkululeko, because it's probably the only track that tells the full story.
Okay.
Sums up the idea of the album. So you could play that one. Once
Inkululeko, yeah?
Yes. Which means freedom in Zulu.
Okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to play a bit of this No, let me play that first. Ah, no, there's one more track from an African musician I want to play before I play that. Okay, so just listen to this. You've heard of Alun Wade?
Alun Wade.
Yes.
Yes,
Have you heard of him?
Yes.
Have you heard him?
I have. Does he play saxophone?
Bass.
Or am I? Bass. Okay.
New thing with it. He's just
Yeah,
coming,
yeah.
you know?
So,
Anyway, so Nku Luleko. Let's go. Just pulls it all together.
that's the one that strings the whole story together. Yes. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. All right. By the way, listen, we've got like 5 minutes, so I haven't put out a number for anyone to call because I didn't want them to break this all up. If anybody wants to call, we've got like 5-10 minutes left. The number is 0809 234 5913, 0809 191 3913, or 0809 222 0913. If you want to say hello to Thandi Ntuli, this is still the BassMan and Jazz and Conversations. Okay, I left out Ethiopia. Thank you for bringing it to my attention. I don't know, I haven't heard of Kibra, but I will definitely search him out. But this is a group led by a guy called Giram Mesmir. He's a guitarist. They're called the Addis Acoustic Project. And this is a track called Yetintu Tiz Alegan. I don't know, it's Ethiopian, so I can't hardly say it. But this is the Addis Acoustic Project. All right. I think I've covered virtually the whole continent tonight. Okay, so that was the Addis Acoustic Project. And then before that, it was Nkululeko off Thandi Ntuli's current new album called Black Elijah and the Children of Meroë. Meroë?
Meroë.
Okay, all right. Okay, Thandi, you know the good thing about right now, no one goes on after me. So if I want to, I can I can go on for a little bit. It's been amazing talking to you tonight, and I'm so happy to finally have met you, so to speak.
Thank you so much.
You know,
hopefully soon it will be in person. And
hopefully, that thing you were saying about that there needs to be, like you said, touring and creating a suitable festival event on the continent. I have a vision of a jazz festival on the continent for African musicians only.
Nice.
That's it. No, none of these, because I'm sorry, Cape Town Jazz Festival is a great event, but as soon as you start sticking the like to Herbie Hancock and all these other guys on there, the African musicians that are there, they almost become like a, secondly. You understand what I mean?
Yeah.
I think big events on the continent should have headliners from the continent. I mean, it's got to happen. Otherwise, how do people get to know and to hear all the great stuff that they're doing?
Artists from South Africa.
I know you do the Cape Town Jazz Festival, and I'm sure that you're a smash on that. I'm sure you are.
Well, we haven't had it in a while because of all the lockdowns.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Before I let you go, because it's midnight your time, it's 11 o'clock here, and thank you so much. When I sent you the mail today, I thought, God, does she realize that it starts at 10 her time? It's 9 my time, but it's 10 your time. I'm going to hit you with a little bit of this track from Jared Lawson. I think you'll like it, and then we'll come back and have a chat, and then I'll let you go.
Okay. No problem.
All right. Okay. Same story, and that's why for me, one of the problems is that African jazz needs to be recognized as its own genre, and none of this world music. I'm sorry. I think I consider world music an insult to the music. Honestly, I think it's an insult. I mean, it's. Anyway, Thandi, the last word should be yours.
Well, I guess the last word for me would really just to be thank you. I've really enjoyed speaking to you, and also the format of the show, because it's been as much a learning experience for me as it has been for me introducing myself and my music. So thank
Oh,
you so much.
I listen. I thank you for staying up so late with us. You know, Thandi, listen, we will do this again. Vincent is there giving you a big clap. I'm doing the same.
Thank you so much.
You are amazing. Um, and I love what you're doing.
Thank
I really do. And if this show can in any way help to get your music heard by more people, that's the whole purpose of my show. I
thank
want
you.
people to hear what's coming out of Africa,
Thank you so much.
and to know that, listen, this is something different. This is not, and there's so much variety.
Mhm.
You know, I know it's a struggle. I know it's been a struggle. I've been doing this now for 5 years. It's a struggle, but it's worth it, because I know every day I'm gonna find somebody else who's sitting in some corner in Africa that's doing something that's nobody else is doing and that nobody's heard. You know,
We
because
appreciate your work. Absolutely. Thank you.
we play we play the instruments differently. The scales differ from country to country. The scales they use in Ethiopia are different from the scales you use in South Africa. It's different from the scales that are used in West Africa. The scales are the same, but you can hear the thread of jazz going through all of it. But it's
Yeah.
ours, not theirs. I mean, just
Mm.
think about it. Fela, Manu Dibango, and Hugh Masekela all
Mm.
were influenced by jazz, came back to Africa and created three completely different
Different sounds.
styles.
Yeah.
Three completely different. But you can hear that take five, when it goes into a 12 bar, that's what proves that that Fela's Afrobeat is based on a 12-bar rhythm,
Mm.
because you can switch into it on almost all his stuff, you know.
Absolutely.
But
Yeah.
somehow he came up with this crazy beat. Thandi, God
Yeah.
bless you, God keep you, God protect you, God look after you, and
Thank
we'll do
you.
this again soon.
Thank you so much, Peter. And same to you.
All right,
Thank
Vincent,
you so much for having me.
thanks for tuning in, my brother.
Bye bye, Vincent.
Take
Thank you so
care.
much.
Good night.
All right.
Woo! Okay. Thank you, everybody. Vincent, eh? Something else, huh? I can't hear you.